As a husband, he's been an amazing, amazing partner of mine. As a father, amazing father as well. So success as a husband and father, to me, those are the things that count the most. I also have to say, as you know, he's been very successful in business, and that is no accident. He is insightful, intelligent, amazingly good judgment, pays attention to detail, knows and learns a subject inside and out, tears it apart, and then applies this indomitable will that he has, this strength of character that he has to a problem. So he has been enormously successful in business. Then I saw him do something else, and this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about right now, is the divergent turn we took in our life. And on two levels, it was significant for us. And that was when we decided to leave everything behind and go out and run the Winter Olympics for Salt Lake City in 2002. That meant leaving in 1999, so that was 3 years prior to the games that we did that. And it was one of those moments. It was actually, I look back, I'm like, how in the world did we go do that? That was crazy. I got the phone call from a friend of ours in Salt Lake City that said, Ann, I'm not going to call Mitt because he'll turn me down flat, but I think Mitt needs to come out, and I'm on the selection committee of choosing who we choose as the next CEO of the games, and I think Mitt is the perfect person. And when he said that, I knew he was right. And I called Mitt at the office, and I said, Mitt, Kim just called me, and I know, you know, he knew what you were going to say, so I'm going to ask you instead because it's harder for you to turn me down. And he said, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. And he says, absolutely not. Why would I leave now? And why would I go out and do that? And then it started to, I mean, the drip of the influence of his father and the significance of making a difference in a real sense started to eat away at him. And that night we had a long conversation. And he really recognized as well that this was a significant thing to do. And he told his partners the next day that he was considering it. And before you knew it, we were out there. So significant in two ways, and I'll touch on that. As you all know, the success of the games were extraordinary. You have no idea how bad shape they were in. It was unbelievable when we got out there. We thought it was just a scandal, and we got out there and realized it was a financial terrible mess as well. So it was much bigger of a problem than we had anticipated. But as you know, it turned out being one of the best run games that the United States had been participating in, and it was enormously successful Winter Olympic Games. On the second level, though, this is where I'm going to talk about today, and that was the personal level for Mitt and I, about what that meant to leave at that time. In December, and between September and October, November, right before those that we were deciding to go out there, I was starting to get quite ill, and it turned out that I had multiple sclerosis, and so you can imagine the conflicts that we were having at this time, deciding to leave everything, the security of my medical doctor and everything else was a very large step for me as well, to be able to know to take this big leap. And yet I never really thought much about it. I knew we were supposed to go. I thought it was important, and off we went. So those 3 years were a very, very interesting time for me, as I was really pretty much at rock bottom when I got out there, emotionally upset, a little depressed, a little overwhelmed with my disease, not really knowing how to deal with it. I had physical symptoms that were disturbing, and I try to explain to people what it's like to have multiple sclerosis, and it's really hard because everyone's case is a little bit different, but there are some things that are fairly common. And one is, for most people, they have enormous fatigue with MS, and I really was suffering from that more than any of the symptoms. Listen, I could live with dragging my right leg around. My whole right side was going numb. I was fine with that. It was not the physical thing as much as the psychological and emotional and the fatigue and not being able to do things that I was used to being able to do. And it really was a challenge in my life. And the turning point for me happened when Mitt could see that I was really getting very depressed and feeling a little overwhelmed by it all, and him almost shaking me and saying, I don't care how bad you get. I don't care if you're in a wheelchair. I don't care if you never cook another meal ever. I don't care whether you cook dinner or not. It doesn't make any difference to me. I just want you to be with me. That's all that matters. And if we're together, we can do anything together. And that was such a turning point for me emotionally, to kind of just give it up and know that he was going to be there with me no matter what, and that we could fight this thing together.